I'm joined by Bryan Snyder, head coach of Washington Lee University Women's Volleyball. Coach, talk to us a little bit about last season, some really good matches you had there. The only conference loss you took was to Randolph-Macon, and it went 5 sets. And then in the ODAC championship match, it went 5 sets. But still a great season for you, some really good players that came about. You had a rookie of the year that was a first-teamer. Talk about last year and then how you think that's going to play into this season.
Yeah, I felt like we were a really good team last year. I even feel like we were better than our record showed. We played a very difficult schedule. Like you mentioned, we lost a couple of really close matches where we were very competitive. Felt like we improved a lot throughout last season, so I'm hoping we can carry that over into this year because we were pretty young. You know, all the players that we have who received awards last year, you know, with the exception of one, were either freshmen or sophomores. So, you know, they're all coming back with a year under their belt now. Not only a year at the college level, but a year playing together. So I'm hoping that will translate to us being a little bit better this year. Conference schedule was tough again last year, as it always is. Those 2 matches against Randolph-Macon were fantastic. I actually watched both of them over the summer, and I felt like both teams played much better the second time we played. You know, the result was the same, and they were both close and they were both competitive, but I thought the quality of play for both teams was better the second time. So, you know, it's something we'll point out to our team is, you know, hey, we improved, and that's really all you can ask for.
When you're taking a look at your roster coming into this season, talk a little bit about your returning players. What do you expect out of those that, you know, maybe surprisingly or not, first-year players that stepped up and got some, or second-year players stepped up and got some awards, but what you expect for them in their next seasons here, the progression you want them to make so that they can become that perennial first-teamer like a Meg Guion has become.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're tough thing for us is we're so balanced right now that I felt like we had several players who played at all conference level but didn't receive that recognition, and that's not a complaint in any way, shape, or form. They just didn't have the statistics because we spread the ball around so much. So I want them to continue on that path of development and have everybody. For us, it's really about consistency. You know, our best is really good. We don't play close enough to our best often enough. You know, I'd say more than 50% of the time, but we need it more consistent than it is now, and that'll be our goal. We will change a lot of our training protocols to raise the standards and the goals in the gym so that people are having to hit higher performance standards more frequently in order to achieve the goals that we have set for them in the gym. Because that's really felt like when we played at our best level, we competed with the very best teams in the country. We were just a little bit up and down with that last year. You know, player-wise, I really look for our junior class to have an outstanding year. You know, all of them will be in the mix for playing time. Both Molly Ray and Anna Soroka have experience at the setter position, and we lost Elena West, who was a 4-year player for us there. So they'll both have a very good opportunity to play a lot. Ashley Mead and Allison Webb have played a ton over their first 2 years, so they'll probably be in the mix again as well at the pin hitter positions. And then, you know, Greer Gordon started last year in the middle for us, but then had a leg injury, sort of lost her spot. So I think, you know, she'll come back and be competitive. And then, you know, we have an open libero position, and Allie Case played there some for us last year, and we'll be in the battle for that as well. So I really expect that junior class to really be very important for us this year.
Any good program needs to have good incoming classes coming through, and that's obviously, you've stood the test of time of that with your pedigree with 15 ODAC titles, which is an all-time record for conference for women's volleyball. But talk a little bit about that incoming class. If you've got any maybe diamonds in the rough or people you expected to contend right away for some playing.
Yeah, actually, so we're bringing in 4 freshmen, and I expect them all to compete right away. They are very tall. When they were at camp this summer and our returning players saw them, they couldn't believe the height across the board of all of them. They come from varied backgrounds, but all played very high-level volleyball. You know, I think Hannah O'Connor is one as a middle who will have a great opportunity right away, because that was really probably a weakness of ours last year, was our second middle position. We rotated at least 3 players through that position throughout the year, and then at the end of the year with Kira Borthwick and her sort of unique skill set, we were able to do some things differently with that position. But you know, that is sort of a position that's wide open for her to come in and take. And then you know, with 2 right sides, Carson Olstedt and Lindy Guerin, who again just put up such a huge block and are such big scoring threats on the right side that they'll have an opportunity. And then you know, we have Valerie Sokolow coming in from Utah, who's the first high school AVC All-American we've ever had. And so we're really excited about her. She's coming off of an injury during her senior year of high school. So I think she's back to 100% health, but we'll have to wait and see about that.
Coach, as we take a look at the rest of the league, we've seen over the last, I'd say, decade or so, really the middle and the bottom coming up to the top, but the top continuing to rise as well with some of the seasons that you and your program have had, some of the seasons that Randolph-Macon's program has had, making deep runs in the NCAA tournament. Talk about what you see for the ODAC this season if we're on that same upward trend.
Yeah, this actually is a unique year because so many of the teams lost such key players. I'm really interested to see what happens. We lost Elena West and Katie Volk, who were 2-year starters. Elena's third all-time in assists at WNL. Katie's fourth, I think, in digs. They were all both 4-year players. Every other team across the league lost. When you looked at the all ODAC teams last year, a lot of them were seniors. So everybody has lost important people. So I'm really interested to see what's going to happen. I think Guilford has really been on the rise, and I expect them to continue as well. They did lose a couple of players, but most of their better players are back. Randolph-Macon will always be very good. They've got a lot of good players back. Virginia Wesleyan is always strong. Lynchburg, Roanoke. I think they're all really good. And then that next group has really started to make a push. EMU had a really good year last year. Emory and Henry's had a couple of good years. They've got a coaching change there, so we'll see. Ferrum as a new team I don't really know anything about. So it's going to be an interesting year. I think the last couple of years you've kind of looked around and say, okay, I know who their best player is going to be. I know who their best player is going to be. This year I'm like, wow, they've got 3 kids that could be their best player. They could run a 6'2". They could run a 5'1". She could play on the left. She could play on the right. And who knows who they brought in as freshmen. So I think this year is I'm really interested to see how it turns out because it's the first year in probably 3 or 4 years where I haven't really gone in with like a preconceived idea of, okay, I think I know how this team's going to be and how that team's going to be. I think it's kind of wide open.
Well, Coach, we're looking forward to the season as well. Thanks for joining me today, and good luck this year.
All right, thanks, JJ.